We all know that real estate has created more millionaires than any other industry on the planet. We also know that it has created a lot of heartache due to mismanagement, overborrowing, and just simple life events that happen to all of us. Welcome to the Cash Flow Pro podcast. My name is Casey Brown, and I am your fearless leader. And although we might be bourbon sipping and at times foul-mouthed Southerners, we will always do our best to be honest, straightforward, and due diligent with all of the information we pass along to you. Welcome to the show. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of Cash Flow Pro, your daily real estate investing podcast and YouTube channel. I'm here today with Jason Wright, and I want to make sure I get this right, with Intentionally Inspirational. And we usually on this show lead in with podcast guests that are either in the syndication business or actively investing in real estate or a combination of the two. But today we are going to take a break from that and we are going to discuss marketing automation. Now, marketing automation may not seem like it's all that interesting of a subject. However, I want you to understand how many automated marketing funnels are you in right now? Not that you are running, but the fact that you are potentially in a funnel to say buy tires or buy a car or buy whatever it is, a pack of gum. You are in a marketing funnel somewhere. And what we are going to discuss with him today is marketing automation and how that fits into the real estate business and how we can use it because at the end of the day, we're all digital marketers when we're trying to get our message out to customers and clients. So Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, we're certainly glad to have you, especially somebody that's considerably smarter than me when it comes to computers and automation. Now, Jason specifically helped me set up my email program, my automated email programs, and basically he took a huge template that he's got. He implemented everything in my account. And of course, I had to go in and give it the old Cash Flow Pro or 3000 Capital touch, and we made it. So, man, tell us a little bit about where you. Again, we like backstories. We like hearing where people came from and how they got to where they are. But with marketing automation, you just kind of tell us whatever you think we might want to hear.
Yeah. So I didn't take the traditional path into marketing. I didn't go to school for it. Never thought about it. It's always good with people, though, right? I was in HR and sales and safety in the corporate world, and like a lot of people, I got tired of the rat race. Right? Was obsessed with making money online and building something sustainable. So my company, Intentionally Inspirational, originally was a blog encouraging other people to quit the 9 to 5, but I always felt like an imposter because I hadn't done so myself. I knew it would happen, but I was like, I'm going to encourage other people to quit, even though I haven't done it.
Yeah.
So what I started to realize was, hey, if I just share this on Facebook, like after a couple of weeks, my friends and family don't really care. So I was like, I need to learn how to market this a little bit. So I started to learn some basic stuff with email marketing, some basic stuff with funnels. And Upwork was a big source of other jobs. I got to write blogs and copy back in the day. And and it didn't pay great. It paid okay. But I started noticing a lot of people were seeking the knowledge that I had just learned for myself. Hey, this person wants to set up some stuff in ActiveCampaign or Facebook ads. And I don't do anything with Facebook ads now, but back then there was quite a few different platforms that had a little bit of knowledge. So I started doing that. I started enjoying helping business owners. I started learning a ton about strategy in architecture or how to build things myself. And then over time, I've just kind of niched down. I found out when it comes to marketing automation, especially across platforms, I'm kind of a natural at it, right? Just the way my mind works pairs well with this industry. So we found a great fit. We've been doing it about 6.5 years now. January of this year, we kind of pivoted and said we're just going to work with real estate investors. We've got a great knowledge, a great way of teaching people, and I don't think I have any competition in this space. Not as specific as I am. If so, I just haven't met them yet. But it's been a lot of fun, man. We're helping a lot of folks, and enjoy what I do, and I'm good at it, and it's been a fun ride.
Awesome, man. And I want to give a plug to you know what I call the Facebook ad world during the time that you're talking about? I call that the wild, wild west.
Oh yeah,
I
oh yeah,
know that's not a new term for anybody, but man alive. I remember those days where you were duplicating, and then you were scaling that to $1,000 a day, and then or even more, and then until it fizzled out, and then you came back and started over, and then you duplicated, then you scale it to another $10,000 a day,
yep.
selling t-shirts with people's names on them, curated. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Hmm.
It was really an unbelievable time. So tell us a little bit. Everybody has seen, I think, the perfect funnel where you start talking about, what is awareness advertising, what is intentional, the middle of the funnel there where people begin, and then of course the conversion at the bottom.
Yep.
But let's go through that a little bit, and how do you tend to get people into the funnel at the very top, like with whether it be a lead magnet or whether it be what's your advice on that?
Yeah, this is a great question. This area can really overwhelm a lot of people. I mean, just tearing their hair out, paralyzed, can't even do anything. So what I do is I say, think about it as any new relationship you care about, right? I
Yep.
use the example of, let's pretend we're neighbors, and when I say we're neighbors, me and the new person on my email list, conversational communication. It's natural, it's easy, it's authentic. A lot of people have this misconception in this space that I have to sound like I'm the CEO of a big corporation when I speak, even
Yeah.
though that's not
Yeah.
how I really speak. So simplify it. And what you want to do is you want to think of a lead magnet as anything you give in exchange for an email address. So, for example, somebody booking 20 minutes on your calendar, that's a lead magnet. They're giving you their email address and name for some of your time.
Yep.
Um, and you want to do something different than everybody. Everybody in this industry loves the idea of ebooks. A lot of people's ebooks are the same.
Yep.
I challenge you, anybody watching and listening, do a lead magnet that involves video, right? Video is one of the most powerful tools in marketing because people can look at you and say, do I believe this person? Do I trust them? Do I believe that they believe what they're saying? And
Yep.
that really shortens that trust curve and lets them know who they're dealing with. So it's really, really powerful. But um, one of the best lead magnet models that I've ever used is just three days in a short video for 3 days that helps them get a clear result in a short amount of time, right?
Sure. Sure.
You could use video along with an ebook and say, here's this ebook, it's 50 pages, but let me tell you the big three things to take out of it. Here's where to find it. And if you have time and interest, you can dig deeper if you want to. Just something that simple can really set you apart. Um, a test you want to run is whatever your lead magnet is, say, would a stranger pay $25 for this thing?
Yep.
The answer is no. It's not a good lead magnet. It
Throw it
sucks.
away.
Throw it away.
Yep.
So, um, yeah, there you go.
So $25. Would a stranger pay $25 to hear this from me? And that's the thing. Well, and again, to lead back to the awareness section. So a lot of people, for the listeners out there that may not be necessarily familiar with a marketing funnel, at the very top, the insert of the funnel, or the spot where you would essentially pour the oil, is the awareness, and the awareness is what a lot of big brands are really good at,
Yeah.
is making you aware of their brand. You go to the store to buy this, you're going to instantly recognize their brand based on their hierarchy in that space.
Yep.
And so when we start talking about brand awareness, it's the spot where nobody wants to spend any money or time, because they feel like, and it can be, and you said overwhelmingly, and I want to add to that they feel like they're now competing with those household names.
Yep.
They are now having to spend their money to compete with Sony or Coke or whoever
Yep.
is their is their is their competition, because so people think or find that it's much easier to enter the funnel in the phase in the middle, which is right before conversion. So if you can snatch people that maybe came in through somebody else and pull them out and get to them, but people have a hard time understanding or seeing that that money is well spent on the awareness part of it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a really good point. So I always tell people, and most people do a bad job of this, but when you get somebody on a call in your business, always ask them, "Hey, where'd you hear about me? Where'd you find me?"
that's right.
And if you keep doing that, you're going to see lead source one, two, and three. It's going to stand out. You're going to say, "That's really weird because I assumed this thing that I'm spending all this time on would work, but this thing that I never thought about is actually pretty significant."
Yeah. And you can do that with as few as like even 10 contacts. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
just look and see. And a lot of times if you have 10 people and six of them like this, the next 10, then you're going to have 12 out of 20 and 18 out of 30 and
yep,
24 out of 40. Your percentage is going to, and then before you know it, you've got 1,000 people in there. And now you have more customers than you have time to talk to or deal with. And so
yep,
that's the idea. So, Jason, I want to talk now a little bit about email marketing specifically.
yeah,
And I know you had said right there, and a lot of people get hung up on the copy. Now, for the listener out there that may not be familiar with the term copy, copy is basically any message that comes in the form of, I want to say writing, although I guess it could potentially be you write copy and then do a video that would consider could be considered to be copy as well. So but copy is anything that is a marketing message that wants you to take action. So
yep,
what tell us what about email marketing and like again, I think the misconception here is that people think that you need to sound like you said, they need to sound like a CEO. And I'm even bad about sometimes about making things what I call word saladly, where
yeah,
it's like you focus on trying to talk above somebody when you really just need to be talking to them,
yep.
be talking at them.
Yep. It's a phrase I used to use for that is a coffee shop conversational. If you're sitting at the table with somebody
Yeah,
on your list, how would you speak to them? That's if you can think about that as you write, even though it may push you out of your comfort zone, I promise the results will be better.
you know what we call that in the South?
What's that?
Cocktail hour conversation.
There you go.
Same thing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. So, email marketing is really helpful for real estate investors in two main areas, right? I talk to a lot of people in this industry every week, and I always ask people once somebody gets onto your list, what happens next? And they
yeah,
always just look at me or they go, nothing. I said, let me guess. They sit in the list for 6 months until you have something to sell them, a deal, right?
yeah,
I said, the comparison I give is we're neighbors. I introduced myself day one, ignore you for 6 months, then come over and ask you to borrow your truck and 5 grand and take your wife out for a night. Like it's crazy. They
yeah,
go, who are you? Like, get out of here. And you're really doing the same thing to your list. So I said, or so what I tell them is once people get on your list, you need to welcome them into your world, overwhelm them with value, right? Spend a little time setting up that relationship. And then it becomes appropriate to use email marketing automation to nurture them to get on a call, right? And kind of work through that potential new investor journey with them.
sure,
So that's a huge need that a lot of people have and they see a lot of value. The other side is for active capital raises. It's amazing to me. I just put this in a Facebook group I'm in, I think yesterday. How many people do active capital raises all manually? It's all notepads and phone calls. And I'm like, you can use automation to tell people about a new webinar or nurture for soft commitments or paperwork or wiring money. Like if you're not using automation to help with that, you're just making it harder and you're potentially missing opportunities.
sure. Now, when you're talking about automation, uh, you're saying use market automation for this.
Mhm.
Um, I assume, are we talking stuff outside of just automated email type stuff, or what are we discussing there?
Yeah, great question. So email's the foundation. It's been around a long, long time, and it's not going away. I don't think it's going away in our lifetime. So
No,
email's important, but it's not always as effective as we want it to be. There's deliverability stuff. There's the fact some people get 100 emails a day or more, et
yeah,
cetera, et cetera. So I'm a fan of email in conjunction with two-way text, which can also
yeah.
be automated. And ironically, today I'm actually working on step three, which is ringless voicemail as well.
Yes.
So
Oh my gosh,
imagine,
ring the voicemail.
imagine if you had a capital raise, right? And you have a list
Yes.
of investors and you're like, all right, I'm going to make them aware of a webinar to talk about this thing. I'm going to hit them with all three. You're
Yep.
going to have some people that respond to all three, some that have one or the other. So that's just going to get more people on that webinar and just going to help you raise that capital faster. In the
Yep.
same way, if you have a call with a potential new investor and you use ringless voicemail after you've had that call and they know you and they're not like, who's this? There's going to be some people that respond to that and get back with you and say, you know what, I think I do want to do a deal with you. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'll
we'll
tell you,
be,
man, the first day I ever found ringless voicemail, I mean, I sat there and I stared at my computer for like 30 minutes and I said, all right, so just yesterday, not, no, I'm not saying, but at the time I was like, just yesterday, I was at my son's baseball game or wherever I was, and I looked down and I was like, dang, I didn't hear the phone ring, I got a voicemail. And then when I first heard of it, it clicked. I was like, wait a minute. So you can actually do this.
yeah.
Like people are intentionally doing this so that you, and I'm just, so anyway, it was I couldn't believe that it existed.
So there is one thing I want to say about this is very important. The timing of the texting and the ringless voicemail is important.
Yeah.
I believe if you do it cold, like if
Yeah.
I get them
Oh,
cold, you're dead
yep.
to me. You're never
Yep.
going to get me to respond. But if you have a video call with somebody, even if you spend 20 minutes with them and they have some idea who you are, they've seen you, they've heard their voice, it's no longer cold,
That's
right?
right.
I'm
Yep.
more willing to respond to that from somebody that I just talked to this guy or whatever. So if you think about the timing of it, it can be pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I'll tell the listeners out there as well. And of course, I'm sure that every single person that's listening or is going to listen to this is fully aware that, or has had a marketing message that has just absolutely fell cold right in their
Oh
lap.
yeah,
I mean, how many times as a self-employed individual,
yeah,
I couldn't even begin to tell you how many times a month I get an email for somebody wanting to help me with my health insurance. And it's like the car warranty people, are they really getting responses
yeah.
to, obviously they are, they keep doing it, but are they getting responses? Because I can't imagine that's a profitable scenario. But I guess people, they're in the trick business really though, because they want to get some unsuspecting person that doesn't know any better or that has access to $150 to jump on with them. But at the same time, the cold marketing messages, and like you said, whether you call it in the West, coffee shop talk, or you call it in the South cocktail hour talk, whatever it is, we it's the message that you want to give to somebody. But again, I used to tell real estate agents when I was coaching them that, when you arrive with your message, okay, you arrive in one of two ways. You arrive at the super, or you arrive at the truck lot with a truck for sale and you're like, "Hey, check this out." Or you arrive at the grocery store with your truck at the end of the aisle where somebody comes around and they're like, "What are you doing in this store with a truck?" And that's the difference. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I
yeah,
mean, that's ultimately, you have to have somebody's mindset has to be focused on, I am open to receiving this message, or you're done.
yep, absolutely.
And I think so many people that are especially beginning marketers, which I learned myself, and I've learned through thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in social media ads,
Yeah,
what tends to resonate and what doesn't. And I think that's why people are so scared of the awareness section of the funnel, because that's where the most money is spent trying to find a message that resonates.
yep. And it's funny, like when I think about my own business with awareness, I was going to say earlier, and you already hit it, but like the big companies to look at who just murder brand awareness, McDonald's, Coke, Pepsi, they have huge budgets. They can just
Oh,
never stop.
yep.
So I understand as the, one or two person company or a person with the W-2 trying to build a company. I've been there, right? All those places. It's overwhelming. What we've done for years is we release 1 to 2 blogs a week, right?
Yep.
Podcast is on a bit of a break, but it's just that consistent value focused, sometimes a little intrigue focused, brand awareness type marketing. And it's not real expensive that way, but it can take time to generate results. But it also serves as a benefit because when people first hear about you, what's the first thing they're going to do in your space? They're going to look you up on LinkedIn, check out your website, Facebook, and then they're going to make sure you're consistently displayed everywhere,
Yep.
right? And if you actually have content and you have for a while, they feel, oh, this company seems legit. It feels good
Yeah.
to them. So it does have value even beyond what you'd think.
Yeah, and those, and you're right. Those companies that have those budgets set up for the brand awareness section is and they waste $1 million on something that didn't work. That's like a rounding error, basically.
Yep.
And so when you look at how they do that, so honestly, the idea to me and the way to somewhat fast track that section of the funnel, if there is a way to fast track it, which it could or could not be, but is to define your avatar to begin with.
Absolutely.
You have to know what that person looks like, smells like, feels like. You have to know what their hair. I mean, you have to know everything about that person that's sitting on the other side of the table from you. Because if you don't, you're not going to know. It's like having a woman sitting across the table from you and calling her sir. It's not. It's just not going to pull itself together. And so again, that avatar being defined is a way to, because what was the old, I guess the old saying, maybe the new saying, I don't know, the riches are in the niches.
Oh yeah.
And so as you move somebody down there, the you can start at the bottom of that funnel and just niche your way down, something that one of the bigger brands isn't necessarily focused on.
I asked a guy one time. I said, in your industry, I said, who are you targeting? Who are you targeting with your passive investors that you want to bring on? His response was anybody with money, and I was like,
Oh my
dude, I was like, that's too broad. And he was like, well, what do you mean it's too broad? I said, how do you create messaging for that?
Yep,
Right? If
that's
somebody
right.
inherited money, or if somebody is a dentist, or if somebody's a surgeon, or if somebody is this, and I went through these things, I said, they're not going to resonate to the same message. Anyone with money, like, you might want
That's
to
right.
narrow that down. And I'll say this to the audience. I tortured myself for years mentally, like, who am I targeting? I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. It's not always easy to figure it out. Like, you can narrow it down a little, and then over time, as you start to find your best investors, you might
Yeah.
say, you know what? This is my niche here. I like these people. They have money. They like what we're doing. So you can
Well,
pivot with that.
somebody that, and I've often said, it's, for instance, so my avatar specifically for my investment business has a specific profession. They
Yep.
have they're a specific age, they're a specific, there's a lot of specificities about that person.
Yep.
And what I like about, and it took me a long time to get there, because I for instance, two of the avatars that are really big in this business are doctors, or medical field professionals,
Yep.
and engineers.
Yep.
Okay, that's in the real estate investing space specifically. Now, when you start talking about real estate sales space, is a different story. I defined my avatar for real estate sales years ago,
Yep.
and so, but for instance, on these two avatars right here, they don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about speaking the same language, I'm talking about somebody talking about an engineering process, or how to build a bridge, and a person that talks about how to take somebody's, I don't know, let's just say pancreas out. I don't know, did people get their pancreas taken out? I'm not sure. But anyway, whatever the case is, those two different, they're two different languages,
Yeah.
but the intricacies of those languages is what you don't have to know specifically about what they do, but you have to know how to specifically communicate with them.
Yep.
Hi, this is Casey Brown, host of the Cash Flow Pro podcast and YouTube channel. Have you been thinking about investing in real estate but just don't know where to begin? I'd like to help by inviting you to check out our website at www.3000capital.com. There you will find an array of material that will help you learn all about real estate syndication. And while you're there, be sure to check out our free video series download titled 5 Must-Know Keys to Success in Passive Real Estate Investing. I'd also like to personally thank you for making Cash Flow Pro part of your day. Now, back to the show.
It's interesting you say that. Our business is probably 90% focused on real estate investors, 10% on service based entrepreneurs, where we
Mhm.
came from. So sometimes not sometimes, a lot of times, I'll write emails or even in my calendar, it says this, and there'll be a little plug for real estate investors. Be like, if you're a real estate investor, you're in the right space, by the way. And then I'll
Yeah,
go back to what I'm talking about. It appeals to everybody, but I'm always kind of picking them out and pull them in a little bit, letting them know they're where they should be. So,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
one stuff, got to talk to people in a way that they understand.
Yeah, and that's like I said, if you like you said, that guy said anybody that has money, and and that may have been me at one point,
Yeah,
in our talks. I mean, it was just it took a while for me to really figure out that there is just a certain type of a person that I jive with. And here's the thing too, and I know I'm full of things today, like the relatable type subjects. But
yeah,
the other thing that I heard a guy say when I very first got into the marketing space, even in the least, he said, if you have to drag them in, you have to drag them around.
yeah,
And the thought of that hit me like a freight train, because it was like, wait a minute, what? You're right.
yep,
If I've got to convince somebody to do business with me, I
yep,
don't want them as a client.
yeah,
And that's so hard for so many people that are not in the marketing business. They look in and they're like, man, if he would just do that, he could get so many more clients. I don't want those people.
yep,
I don't want the high strung guy that I know is going to tell me to cut my commission at the end of the day. I don't want those people.
no,
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just not, and they can't imagine you passing up a deal where you could make a little bit instead of making a lot. I'm like, no, I don't,
it's not worth
because
it.
I don't want to deal with the type of person.
Nope. Yep,
I
that's a
want to,
painful lesson, man. It's this is a great for a client thing. If it doesn't fit, don't force it. We've done this long enough. If we see one red flag, I'm out. The
that's
amount of
right.
money is nothing because the headache and the stress on the team is not worth our time. It's not
Absolutely.
worth it.
And it,
So sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am. Your money is no good to me. Find
yep,
somebody else. Have a good day. Sorry,
that's right. That's
but you
right.
have to.
Because and I've actually used that. I've actually It's kind of like I've always said, it's kind of like that you go back to the neighbor scenario, the neighbor that you really don't like and he asks you to borrow $20. That's the best damn $20 you ever spent, because just don't even act like it exists, because you won't see him for a while if he can't pay you back.
Yeah,
And you do, some people may do that with family or whatever. Just
yeah,
loan them $100 and then you won't see them. Tell them you don't even want it back. That's worth it. See you.
yeah,
Get out of here. And troublesome clients are the same way. And I'm not going to act like I'm not a troublesome client in some respects, for in some things where you expect more value than what you got.
yeah,
I think we're all tend to be that way. Again, and Walmart kind of has led us down the path of the belief that everybody deserves value for nothing. And I'm sorry, but it just, the world doesn't work like that.
yep.
And so anyway, but so real quick, before we run out of time, I'd like to hear you tell the listeners, what's the best book you think you've ever read?
Uh, it's going to be old school, but Think and Grow Rich is one that comes to mind.
Yep.
Because you know what? Mindset is the foundation of building a business that flourishes, that you enjoy, that you're happy with.
Yep.
I know some really successful people that still struggle with mindset. And I'm like, you're making 7 million bucks a year with a
Yep.
digital business, and you're acting like you're working part time. Like, the mindset thing is big, and for some people they just haven't been exposed to the right ideas and perspectives. So it's an old Napoleon Hill book, but it's a
I've
great
read it.
one.
Oh my gosh.
It's just,
Yes.
they talk about the concept of the mastermind. That's where all that came from, and really surrounding yourself with people that are going to build you up and support you, like-minded people's huge. But that's a great book.
Yep. As a matter of fact, my another marketing guy I had on here is a good friend of mine, Derek Peterson. He said, I forgot where I was going to go with that for just a second, but he said, when you joining a mastermind is like, that's everything, and surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. And I think he and I discussed, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Same scenario. I
Yep.
mean, so all right, now tell the listeners, this is another just blindside question. What's
Sure.
the best trip you've ever taken? Or I'm going to actually start changing this question on my podcast. What is the best trip you would like to take or have taken?
So the best trip I've taken was almost a year ago. We went. I'm in Indiana. We went out west, visited Yellowstone, Wyoming. Loved the state, and we loved it so much. We're actually doing round two this year. Right,
Awesome.
we're going to finish Yellowstone, see the Tetons, go up into Montana, and all the way down the east coast of Idaho. So don't
Yeah.
be surprised if home base becomes out west sooner than later.
Awesome, man. That's great. The Hoosier State, we're very close to it as well. But I wouldn't blame you a bit. Old Faithful, and I'll tell you, when we were out there, it was nothing to pull up, and all of a sudden you're like, what's going on here? Because there's like 10 cars in a row, and
Oh
then
yeah,
you swerve your car out to see what's up there. There's a moose walking down the road.
yep,
Everybody's behind or whatever, and so it was very intriguing. And to see the signs of the old forest fire that they had there,
yep.
and all of that good stuff. So, Jason, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to give the listeners some value and discuss market automation and email well, whatever we call what we just discussed.
Yep.
I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been great.
And I'd like for you, real quick, before we jump off, tell the listeners if there's a real estate investor out there that, or not an investor, but or even a syndicator or somebody out there that's listening that wants to maybe implement your strategy or look at a way for that to go. How can they reach out to you?
Yep. Best place is go to intentionallyinspirational.com. You'll see options to jump on a call with me, and that's where we'd go.
Awesome, man. That's great. And hey, and I can tell you, I've done it. I've been all the way through Jason's funnel. It's great. He takes good care of us. I have a question. He answers almost immediately. And again, I can't thank you enough, sir. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care.
Thank you.
Cashflow Pro is hosted by Casey Brown, founder and CEO of 3000 Capital, a commercial real estate investment firm committed to providing its investors with ongoing cash flow and helping them build long-term wealth. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified about all our future episodes. You can find more information about us and our investment philosophy by clicking the link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening.